Pull up a chair, dim the lights, and welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled to guide you through today's journey, though I gotta warn you up front, we are venturing into some truly dark, atmospheric territory today. We're exploring the architecture of fear itself. What is it that actually terrifies us? I mean, is it the monsters hiding under the bed, the ghosts of the past, or perhaps something a whole lot more insidious, like the relentless creeping passage of time itself?
Okay, let's dive into this. What is the absolute worst part of immortality? It's a brilliant little philosophical puzzle that actually came from a popular Reddit writing prompt. When we think about living forever, we usually jump straight to the obvious horrors, right? Watching your loved ones wither and die, or maybe floating in a pitch-black void after the universe eventually cools and dies. But our source material posits something far more psychologically devastating. The worst part isn't the dying, it's the living. It's growing so impossibly ancient that literally everyone around you feels like a toddler. You completely lose the ability to truly connect with anyone. You become profoundly, inescapably alone.
Just listen to this quote. The first wife died of grief. The second, a Buick. The third, the internet. Let that really sink in for a second. It's tragic, it's melancholic, and honestly, darkly absurd. But this right here is the true curse of immortality laid bare. It's not just grief you're dealing with. It's the bizarre, accelerating absurdity of human progress viewed from the perspective of someone who simply never stops. You aren't just outliving people anymore, you are outliving entire eras, becoming completely detached from the ways people live and the ways they die. So picture this. It's 1723 and we have Sophie, his first wife. She tragically lost their child to a fever, and our grief was so immense she was found out in the churchyard literally digging up the cold earth with her bare hands just to keep the baby warm. Fast forward to 1928, Clara, the roaring 20s. She meets a violent sudden end struck by a runaway Buick. And then we hit 2016, Kim. It's a completely modern tragedy. She chokes to death on a piece of sushi because she was too distracted posting memes online. As time accelerates, the deaths go from profoundly tragic to almost terrifyingly mundane. The world just shrinks down into a screen, and the immortal is left completely isolated. All right, let's shake off that heavy existential dread for a minute. Section 2, Cinematic Nightmares, the fictional scares. Because, when the real world gets a bit too heavy, we love to manufacture fictional nightmares to process our fears in the nice, dark comfort of a movie theater. We are talking about the absolute heavy hitters of horror cinema here. From the visceral, demonic possession in the 1973 classic The Exorcist, to the incredibly claustrophobic sci-fi terror of Alien in 1979. We've got the psychological unraveling in The Shining back in 1980, and of course, that masterclass in modern jump scares, The Conjuring from 2013. And what really binds all these masterpieces together is that fear is a universal language. Whether it's a creepy haunted house or an isolated spaceship, these directors are expertly translating our deepest, most primal anxieties into 2-hour visual roller coasters. Moving right along to bite-sized terror short films. Because sometimes, the less time you have to process what you're actually seeing, the more terrifying it becomes. We're stepping into the world of pure, concentrated fear. Our source material highlights an incredible 17 high-quality short horror films. I mean, think about that volume for a second. 17! There's this whole subculture of filmmakers out there who have completely perfected the art of delivering a massive dose of fear in just 3 to 10 minutes. It's basically a shot of adrenaline straight to the heart. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer variety of this medium. Take The Black Hole, for example, a film that, surprisingly, doesn't use monsters at all. It uses a magical vending machine portal to explore human greed, and it ends up being this dark, existential trap of the protagonist's own making. On the flip side, you have The Cat with Hands. This one relies on stark, highly unsettling visual effects to create a nightmare that feels like a totally corrupted fairy tale. Two entirely different approaches, but they both accomplish the exact same goal, leaving you deeply, deeply unsettled. But what happens when we try to step into the nightmare ourselves? Summoning the supernatural. Enter if you dare. We are leaving the safe, fictional realm of cinema now and entering the incredibly dangerous, interactive world of paranormal games. Things are about to get very, very real. Have you ever heard of the elevator game? It's this modern urban legend, but honestly, countless people swear they've actually played it. It basically involves finding an empty, preferably abandoned, 10-story building. You step into the elevator entirely alone, and you use the buttons not to select a floor, but as this kind of numeric incantation to open a gateway to a dark, alternate dimension. So the sequence goes exactly like this. You press 4, then 2, 6, 10, and 5. When the doors open on the 5th floor, a young girl will step in. The absolute most crucial rule here: do not look at her. Do not speak to her. Our sources detail this harrowing account from a survivor named Alex. Well, he broke the rules. He looked. He described a girl with dead, hyper-blue eyes crying these black tears, accompanied by an overwhelming sensory nightmare of burning flesh. And when the doors finally closed, she let out this high, terrifying laugh that he says still echoes in his mind every single night. Which brings us to our final and honestly most visceral section: Tales of the Unknown, True Encounters. We are looking at culturally anchored, supposed true encounters from the Middle East. These are the kinds of stories whispered around campfires, passed down through families, carrying the heavy weight of generational fear. Now, what's really interesting about this story is the local flavor. We are in Asyut, Egypt. A traveler's car breaks down in the dead of night on a pitch-black road. Suddenly, an animal violently scratches at his window in the dark. And out of nowhere, a strange local man named Azam appears, magically fixes the car with just a touch, and insists the traveler join him at a nearby local wedding. Relieved to just be safe, the traveler actually agrees to go. But here's the thing. The wedding is just wrong. The music is dissonant, heavy, and it fills the traveler with this sickening dread. Plus, all the guests are men, and they're all dressed identically. And then Azam slowly turns to him and asks this chilling question: "Are you enjoying the wedding?" And as he speaks, the terrifying truth comes out. The guests start dancing wildly, and their human disguises literally fall away. The traveler realizes he's surrounded by entities with dark, hairy bodies and the legs of animals. He has unknowingly stumbled right into a gathering of the jinn. So the traveler obviously screams, tries to bolt through the twisting, impossible architecture of this phantom house, and is eventually struck down. But here's the crazy part. He didn't wake up in a house or at a wedding at all. He woke up miles away, completely alone, with a splitting headache, lying face down in the dirt of a local graveyard. The graveyard guard who found him confirmed his absolute worst fears. He had been wandering in a notorious forbidden zone. He had survived a genuine paranormal encounter. All right, let's move to our final legend for today, Room 88. So picture a 24-year-old guy named Wissam. He goes on what is supposed to be this idyllic, peaceful vacation with his parents and his younger siblings. They book a stay at a beautiful, rustic hotel nestled deep within a forest. But as you can probably guess, the forest is hiding something deeply malevolent. The creeping dread builds almost instantly. On the drive up, Wissam repeatedly spots this shadowy, smiling figure dressed in black just standing out in the dark woods. That night, staying in room 88, he has a terrifying nightmare where this exact same figure, now wielding an axe, warns him to leave the hotel immediately or his entire family will die. Wissam wakes up in a cold sweat, tries to shake it off as just a bad dream. But the very next morning, he finds his little brother, Kareem, standing outside, calmly having a full-on conversation with absolute thin air. Now, despite all these massive, glaring red flags, Wissam's curiosity completely gets the better of him. While he's out exploring the woods, he finds this massive, hollowed-out tree. He peers inside, and guess what? The smiling entity from his nightmares is waiting in the dark. It grabs him. It lets out a scream so absolutely deafening that it knocks Wissam out cold. When he finally comes to, the entity is gone. But so is his family. He searches frantically, totally and completely alone in the sprawling woods. Panicking, he literally runs all the way back to the city to get the cops. He is begging them to come back to the hotel to find his missing family. But the police just look at him in absolute confusion. They inform him that there's no way he could have been staying there. The hotel in the forest he is describing, it has been completely abandoned and boarded up for 3 years. Wissam's failure to heed the warning literally cost him his entire reality. From the slow, agonizing isolation of living forever to the dark, abandoned floors of the elevator game, right through to the cursed, illusory walls of room 88, we have covered the entire spectrum of fear today. So I want you to really think about it. Which of these nightmares actually resonated with you the most? Which one is going to pop in your head right as you turn off the lights tonight? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, you might want to sleep with one eye open.